All right, this week we're looking at box one. This is the box with the slightly larger worm population, so they go through a lot more. These guys are hungry, hungry boys. All right. I see a bunch right under it. I see a bunch of castings on the top. First thing I check is the smell, and it smells like a beautiful forest floor. So it means things are going pretty good. So I'm gonna start over on this side. Actually doing some gardening this week, so I'm gonna pull out some of these castings and put them over here so I can use them in my garden. So I'm just pulling these out slowly, so if I do see a guy, I can liberate him. I've been pulling a little bit out throughout the week, so I have a little bit less finished stuff in this box than I normally do. So the stuff I do have is a little bit more moist, and so there's worms hanging out in it. So I'm just gonna filter as I go. Oh, these are great castings. These will go great on all my cucumbers and my tomatoes. I thought I saw a guy. Even if I get a few, it's not that big a deal. I just don't want to pull out a lot. That is almost all of my finished casting I've pulled out. Look at that. And it's nice not to have to pull too many worms out as I go through here. It's just easy access to all my finished castings, which is by design. Having the finished, more dry stuff on the other side and have all the food on the other side keeps the worms out of there. All right, we're gonna take that out. And then we're gonna go into fluffing. Yeah, see, now that I'm a little bit more wet, I got a bunch more worms. Look at that. Let's fluff it up. Yeah, we're not even to where the food are. It's just more moist, so they're like hanging out here. Which is why I don't cover up the finished side, so that it gets just not dry, but just drier, so it's less preferred. All right, a lot of worms, good smells, fresh forest floor. That's what we like. All right, let's put that over to the side. We'll be able to harvest that. Let's start drying this out. It's all really harvestable, but there's a bunch of worms in there, so we're gonna dry it all out. Discourage them from setting up in there as we move over the next stuff. So this is some of this. We're getting to some of the stuff that might have stuff in here. Look, this is like the skin of a squash we fed last week. You can see they came in and they ate it all out, only kind of leaving the skin left behind. And this will probably take maybe a month to break down. I'm gonna break it up, make it a little bit easier. Just making sure oxygen is the main part of this. First of all, I like it, but the other important thing is making sure oxygen gets to all these things so that I have the good bacteria that the worms like, that breaks stuff down. They don't have any of that stinky anaerobic bacteria, which is usually what I'm checking for when I'm checking the smell. Making sure we have the oxygen loving bacteria, the good stuff. These worms are really going. I'm seeing worms of all ages here, which I love to see. See the big ones along with the younger ones. There's a littler one, there's some older ones. Same thing here. These guys have all been eating the flesh out of this. It's all of the skin that's left. Yeah, these guys are hungry. I gotta find some more food for them. Yeah, all I'm seeing is the thick outer skin of the zucchini. Not seeing anything else. It's really more of like a courgette. It's old zucchini, or a very ripe one. All right, let's move it all over to the side. And now let's get into the big section of where we fed them most recently. This can go down here, because this I'll check again next week, but here we go. Move the bin a little bit. So it's got some more fresher bedding here. You can see where I put it in more recently, but just worms everywhere. Look at that. Yeah, the story behind why I have this big thick zucchini in here is I let one go all the way mature when I was growing zucchinis, and it grows that extra thick skin to store the seeds over the winter so they'd be ready for the next spring. So I just left them in there to store them. Thing is, a mouse found it and it bored in and it went and it ate all the seeds. And so I was still able to feed the flesh to my worms, but unfortunately I don't have any leftover seeds to start now that it's spring. It's starting to get a little bit more dry where I most recently added in the cardboard, just because the cardboard can just, shredded boxes just soak up so much moisture from the food. But you know, now that I'm getting to the food, I still see some leafy greens left, so they still had some left over, probably because they're so busy eating this. Oh yeah, still a lot of them though. They know where the food is. And other parts are more wet, so when I mix it up, it'll probably end up about at the right moisture level. I just like hanging out in here. Look at that. Pulling that apart. There's some banana skin. But yeah, seems like they got, I mean, there's not big chunks of food. They're definitely eating all that I'm giving them. So I'm not overfeeding, which can be a big problem. Gets other pests and stuff in here. So that's not a problem I'm having. All right, so I'm gonna lay down some of the old stuff to start. Then I'm gonna add in some shredded cardboard as bedding. That's probably a good amount. There's still a decent amount of cardboard in there. And then I'm gonna do all of my coffee from the week. So all the espresso pucks. They don't really break down unless I break them up here. So I'm gonna do that. That way they mix into the bedding. I'm pretty sure they love eating these, which is why I always see them over here in this section. It's just a high nitrogen food that's very easy for the worms to eat and gobble down. If you have a decent coffee habit like me, then you have plenty of stuff to feed your worms. They'd probably get it. It wouldn't be as high population as they are, but they'd probably do fine if this is all I did. Just fed them the coffee and the shredded cardboard. And then I have kitchen scraps. Not that much this week. Got some apple cores, a little bit of avocado peels, which don't break down super easy, but I'm sure these guys will have no problem with it. And some leftover leaves, some banana peels, tomato. And then I just cover that all up and we're good to go. Smooth it all out. And then, you know, it is March, but still, these guys like being relatively warm. And they definitely like being moist. So that's why I always put a blanket on them. Keep them moist and warm. In the summer, I'll put like a frozen water bottle in there just so they have at least a place to go where they don't get too hot, but that's not a worry right now. Okay, we'll check back in this bin in 2 weeks. I'll see you again next week while we do bin 2.